But we're so happy you could join us today for a talk about strategic matchmaking and our kind of breakdown of how matchmaking in Navy Gold Coast will work. We're thrilled to go through this for the second time. I think we've done this 2 years in a row, but we'll talk about some tips and tricks about how to make matchmaking successful. And we have the matchmaking chairwoman extraordinaire with us today. I'll introduce myself first and then turn it over to her to introduce herself. I'm Kiley Stewart with Trident Proposal Manager. Oh goodness, Trident Proposal Management. There we go. I am a capture and proposal manager. I'm a Naval Academy grad and a surface warfare officer, so that just means that I drove ships for the Navy. And since then, I've been doing proposal management and sales for our company. And my favorite part of my job, I love that you put this on here, Mel, so I copied you. My favorite part of my job is being a part of the review and providement process of proposals because I get to watch kind of the scrappy version become the polished version. And it's just really cool to be a part of that process. I'll turn it over to you, Mel.
Hey everybody, Melody Bakhshandeh with LevitZacks. I've been doing Gold Coast for about 7 years. I've worked with LevitZacks for almost 10 years. My job with Gold Coast is making sure that all the appointments go hopefully according to plan, making sure you hopefully will be able to get the appointments that you want and be able to get everything that you need for those meetings, especially with having Kiley here to talk about what to say during those meetings. It's very helpful. My favorite part is seeing the successful appointments that people have had when they come out and say, we were exactly what they needed. So that's my favorite.
I love that. I love that. If you're wondering who we are and why we're involved in this at all, we're Trident Proposal Management, and we aim to be kind of your one-stop shop for proposals and working with the government. We work on the initial side when we're talking about business development, when we're talking about making relationships with your government clients and going to matchmaking events. But we'll hold your hands throughout the entire process to make it more efficient and more successful for you. Our goal is to help you identify, position for, and win government contracts. Help you feel confident submitting compliant and compelling proposals so that you can grow your business and just feel more confident in submitting those. A lot of our team is made of military veterans, reservists, and spouses of active duty military. So, we typically kind of speak some of the language of the federal government and can kind of translate some of your technical expertise into compelling proposals. We're delighted to be a part of your team if you'd like to work with us, and I can talk to you about some of our core services or how we can help your team specifically if you'd like. But we want to be a part of making this process easier for you, and part of that is sharing our knowledge about things like matchmaking. So we're glad to be here today to talk through this.
And I'm with LevitZacks. We are public accountants. So we do your assurance that may be needed. We specialize in government contractors. We're heavily involved with SDMAC and NDIA and anything we can find around around San Diego that has to do with military. We try to be involved because we're very happy to be part of this government industry. So yeah, we serve more than just government contractors, but that's all this group truly cares about today is that. And so if you need us, we're around, but the best thing is that they allow me to do the matchmaking program. So that's where we're at. Kiley?
So today we're going to talk in 2 different phases. You're going to get all the bread and butter from Mel up front. So how to actually get into the system, book your appointments, how to use EventDex to find the people that you want to talk to. And then afterwards, I'm going to talk about how you can really optimize those meetings, make them beneficial for you, and the steps you can take before, during, and after to make this time with your government clients really valuable. Like I said before, at the end, we'll have a Q&A and answer any of the questions you guys have. So let's dive right in. I'm going to turn it over to you, Mel, and I will stop showing this one so you can take over.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is the Navy Gold Coast website. And here you can get all the information you want about Gold Coast. One of the best is if you need help, you go to the Contact Us page. And right here, if you've got questions about your sponsorship, you can reach out to Sarah from here. If you've got questions about registration, Errol is here. You can reach out to him. And then you've got myself with matchmaking. There's that page. And then if you have questions regarding your exhibit booth, Mary is the one to reach out to. The only thing I have to say is that we're all volunteers, so we all have a day job. So sometimes we don't get back to you quite as quickly as we would like, but those jobs kind of help us pay to be able to be here. So for Gold Coast and for matchmaking, you're going to go to the agenda, and right here you've got the actual agenda. You can click on that to see what the times are and everything that's going on for Gold Coast. It's still in draft. Everything that is in red we're still waiting on confirmation. So as we get confirmations that they're going to be there and attending, it will turn to black. And it's got where everything is at. So that's really helpful. And then if you go back to the agenda tab, right here's the matchmaking. And there I try and keep it as up to date as possible. You've got some frequently asked questions. And then as I can, I'll update the buyers. Right now we've got 30 in there, and I think I've only got 26 in the list. I've changed the dates for appointment scheduling. Before it was a very tight, you had just a couple days in order to get in there and make your appointments. I've moved it back to the end of July for sponsors and the early birds, and then for everyone else, it will open up on August 3rd, which is, I think it is about a week earlier than what it was last year. And then once everybody's had a chance to get in and get their 3 appointments, then on August 11th, I will go in and have them remove the limits. So that way, then any additional appointments that are available, you will have access to be able to get more appointments with those buyers. I keep the limits low just to 3, just so everybody gets a turn to try and get decent appointments. Because we've found in the past that one person goes in and takes all the appointments, so we don't want that to happen to everybody. And
Now, are exhibitors considered sponsors, or do they have early bird registration?
So sponsors are, if you come over here to sponsor, so this one's the registration. Where's my sponsor list? Exhibitor list? No.
Oh, are you there?
26 sponsors. Okay. So sponsors have paid specifically to be a certain level, and those are what will get in earlier.
How about exhibitors? Are they part of the early bird, or are they part of just the regular registration?
If they registered by, I think it was March 15th, is when the early bird cutoff was. Okay. So after that, you fall into the regular exhibitor, which would be August 3rd.
August 3rd, got it.
So quite often we have sponsors that don't get in the beginning, when it opens up for them. So, but they still can get in after that date. They just get in, it opens up for them and it just stays open until we close on, date do I close? So on August 14th is when I close appointment scheduling. So if it opens on July 28th for sponsors, they can go in that entire time and register for their 3. And then early birds start July 30th, and they can go in and register anytime through then. And all registrants are August 3rd. And they have until August 14th to make their appointments. Hopefully that answered.
It does, yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. You're welcome. So I will try and keep this website as up to date as possible. And then down here at the bottom, you have my email address. You're always welcome to email me if you have questions. I try and get back to you as soon as possible. If you haven't heard from me within 2 business days, give me another email, or you can even call me. I think my email has my call number too, has my phone number. So the thing that everybody wants to know about is EventDex. So let me switch us over to the EventDex page. So when you log, I got in here a little bit early, so I'm sorry about that. So when you first log in, it's going to take you to this page where you go to see you'll see the 2026 event. So once you click on that, it'll take you to your dashboard. And here you'll see that I only have it 28.57% completed. That's not going to keep you from making appointments. You don't have to be 100%. Sometimes I'll get messages from people that are like, I've done everything possible, and I don't know why it doesn't say 100%. Some of us have those goals that we must be 100%, but it's okay. Down here, you're going to see, your various stats, and then here are your top 10 matches. They all have that turned on where it will tell you who your NAICS codes match up with. And it should give you your top 10. Some of them you may already be doing business with. You don't have to make appointments with those that are on this list. It's just there as a kind of a suggestion to help you out, because a lot of those you may already be working with. So you don't necessarily need an appointment with a buyer that you're already working with, especially if when you're limited to only 3. So that's what we're doing with this page. And then the part that I asked for everybody to update their profile. Right here, you can put in a banner. There's a little button here that says copy your profile from last year. If you are a repeat attendee, you can just copy it on over and then make whatever changes you want from that. And then you can add attachments, videos. This is for your logo. You can upload that. You can upload a picture of yourself. And then it'll have you enter your basic information and your work information. And this is where you're going to write about yourself, about your company, what it does. And the important one here is your NAICS codes. You want to make sure you put in as many as you can in here. That way then it'll match up. It'll show you more of your best matches on that dashboard page. You'll also want your diversity types because it'll match that up too with the buyers. And then speaker information, it's just your LinkedIn if you wish to put that in there. That's not necessary to fill out. So then in this case, you're going to go over and take a look at your buyers after you're all set up. And I would do this well before the appointment starts scheduling, to start seeing who you would like to meet with. And as you go through, you can look at their, you can sort it over here by different, I like to do it by company. And for instance, he just messaged me that he's already filled out his. So this shows you what they're looking for. And their company information and so forth. So you can do that. And if he's someone that you want to work with, you can, just for to be able to find them faster is you can mark them, you can bookmark them. And with that, it's going to go up here to your favorites, and he'll show up in there under your favorites. So that way, then you've got them marked as to who you want. And when appointments open, you can just click book appointment. Right now, it's going to tell you that they are switched off because they're not open yet for everybody. So then you can click back here and you can continue to do your search. There's also a search up here if you wanted to do whatever you want to search for. Let's say I want to search for somebody named David. So then it'll pull up everybody with the name David.
Melody, we have a question about
Yes.
who gets to book these appointments. So if you have multiple people attending on behalf of your company, can they each individually schedule appointments?
Yes. So
Awesome.
it is, yes, it is per registrant. So sometimes it's, good to get together with if you are wanting to attend those meetings together, is to make sure that you're not booking appointments that overlap for each other. So we don't restrict how many people you have at your table. They are small tables, so they only have 3 seats at the table. So you don't want to bring like a whole crew of people, but you can have, I would suggest 2 at the most to sit at that table. But yes, that is a very, very good way to work it, is to make sure that each of you are booking with different people.
Awesome. That answers that. And we'll talk about, I know, Mark, you asked a little bit more. We'll talk about how to maximize kind of matchmaking in general and what we've learned over the years in the second half of our brief. So we'll come back to your question for the rest of it, but go ahead.
Thank you. So, and then this right here is managing your schedule so you can block appointments. So if you're not available, and the reason why I tell you to go ahead and do this too as small businesses, not just the buyers to do it, is because some buyers do reach out to the small businesses. I have some that do that. They like to go in and schedule appointments. So don't be surprised if a buyer reaches out to you. So I would definitely block off any times if you're planning to go meet with, see one of the breakout sessions or anything like that. I would block off those times.
If somebody schedules an appointment with your company, does that count as one of your max appointments until you lift that? Okay, that's a good thing to pay attention to. If you guys are working on booking your appointments, if somebody books with you, you may be limited in the amount of clients you can connect with from that point. You did search by name. Are you also able to search by NICS code in that search box?
I believe so. Let me go back to buyers. Nothing with the 535. Maybe not NICS codes. Over here you can filter them by commodities. So all your aerospace, everybody that's in aerospace will show up.
Oh, cool. Okay, so more like keywords than maybe
necessarily. Yes, so that's
code.
what the filter is for over here.
And
categories, and then your NAICS codes.
Cool. Another question is, buyers can't complete their profiles until they fully register for the event, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Once they're registered for the event, then I will pull them in and mark and put them into EventDex. So that way then you'll see them. So I have about 25 that I need to reach out to make sure that some of them don't know what they're checking off when they are registering regarding matchmaking. So if I haven't heard from them already, then I reach out to them to make sure that this is indeed what they want to do, because in the past, I just assumed that they knew what they wanted to do and I wouldn't have somebody at the table. So that that's why I reach out to them first. And then once I've vetted them that they're going to be there, then I add them in.
Awesome.
And this can happen all the way up through middle of August that I'm still adding buyers as we go. So there's always room.
Cool. Okay, we're caught up on questions on my side.
Okay. So we have managing schedules, we had filtering, being able to look, we did the favorites. What else do I have on my list? Appointment scheduling. So appointment scheduling we went over to make sure that everybody's got their 3 appointments, and then when it reopens on the 11th of August to go in and get additional appointments. We do have, so I'd like to talk a little bit about the various buyers. So our buyers are very individual. I have one buyer that she will not talk to you if you do business with them already. Her specific goal is to talk to new people that they don't work with. And she looks at every single appointment that comes in, and she will cancel an appointment if you already work with her. If you've already met with her and you haven't done what she's told you to do, she'll cancel your appointment.
Nice.
So yeah, she's kind of one of my, I call her extreme, but she's great. She's great to work with. Then I have other buyers that they're like, I'll meet with anybody, I don't care. So we have, everything from, each extreme. So yeah, it's an interesting time. If you don't get the appointments with who you were looking to meet with, we can either see if they have a no-show, or most of them have a booth. So you can also meet with them at their booth. It's not as, that one-on-one, because there's a lot of people trying to get to them and talk to them. The first day is extremely busy. But you'll end up meeting with everybody that you want to see at some point. And then anybody that's really new, as far as my buyers, like I've had some buyers show up the day of, and so I put them at the very front and then just start funneling people through to them that would like to talk with them. So it's an interesting chaos to put together. I think that is everything that I had. Let me see. Oh, I can also show you. Let me pull up this other page. So this one is your small business. And so this is what the buyers are seeing, is this side. And they can do the exact same as you guys did on the being able to look at the buyer's side. So this is what they're looking at too. And they're seeing that if this person only has three appointments available, that they may want to book one with you. If it says 0 slots available, they might come over here and hit the chat button to chat with you. I don't know that they're all going to respond to that, but it's always worth a try.
Typically for the buyers that are coming, are they the contracting officer? Are they a technical PRC? What is their normal day job?
Normal, they're usually the buyer from the procurement. So they are, especially on the government side, that is their job.
Awesome. How about for maybe the large businesses or the primes that small businesses
Most of them are also, yes. Most of the large primes and are also the buyers from them. So once in a while I have maybe 3 that are not, but they'll take back that information and talk to their people about it.
Yeah, it's also important that's kind of why these profiles exist, because you can kind of figure out who that person is within the organization prior to talking to them. So you can kind of get an idea of what, you're not bringing a technical discussion to somebody who maybe just doesn't have the technical expertise. So we'll talk about that in kind of the second half of the things you want to look at before you meet with them. But that's definitely something that you'll want to pay attention to, is who you're actually talking to and what their job is, so that you can scope your conversation based on what they actually do.
Do we have any additional questions before I turn it over to you, Kylie?
I don't see any specific to EventDex or matchmaking. I'll give you guys a couple seconds.
Okay, well, I'm going to turn it back over to you, and then if there's additional questions that you think of by the end of towards the end, we can discuss those also.
Yeah. Okay, I think, oh, I took myself off the screen in the process. Here we are. We're back. Of course, I'm not allowed to pick up where we left off. So here, lightning round through. We plugged in a couple of extra slides in here that I'm just going to gloss over because Mel talked about them. But when we send out a copy of the slides, you'll have them just for reference. These are the dates that things will open and close, when you can make appointments and that kind of thing. So it's just for your reference. Okay, I'm going to close this so I can actually read. Let's talk about how to, be successful in matchmaking, how to get momentum from these face-to-face meetings, and what they look like, and kind of what you can achieve within them. The reality is that it's like speed dating, right? So you're meeting with your clients and you are going to talk to them very quickly and communicate what you can do for them very quickly. So we always recommend that you show up prepared. Show them that you understand their organization, that you understand their vision and their mission, that you know what they're doing, you know what's coming out in their shop, what their forecast and what their industry days have covered, because you're interested in their mission. When we're talking about matchmaking, and really when we're talking about building any relationship with the government, we're talking about building a relationship with a human being. And so showing your interest in what they need and what their pain points are really matters, and is the difference between people who are unsuccessful and successful at matchmaking. So show up prepared, connect the dots for what you do and what they need, so that you can have a succinct and relevant message when you're talking to them. It's fast. 15 minutes will fly by, even though you'll feel like it should take forever. You'll want to jump right ahead to your compelling points. Avoid things like your Genesis story and way back when you played softball, or, all of those things are great, but they're looking for solutions and they were looking for specifics. So get to that first. You can make the rest of it later, once you're actually doing business with them. The other thing that we always recommend is that you need to be ready to listen to them and be responsive to the things that they talk about or the things that they need. That may feel a bit like you're stepping on your back foot if you spend a lot of your 15-minute pitch, listening to them. But the reality is, if you're able to hear what they say, take it on board, and then respond, especially if they want to talk about something else, you're adaptable and you listen and you care about what they're saying, and that gets you lots of goodwill as they're trying to find the right company to do business with. Of course, and I hate to say it, but you have to be professional, courteous, and agreeable. This may be something your team wants to think about. If you have members of your team who are not people, maybe there's somebody else who's better suited to have these conversations. People want to work with people who make their lives easier and not harder. And so if you're coming into this conversation disgruntled, that's going to show up, and they're going to remember that disgruntledness. So be professional, be courteous, have a good attitude, be excited to be there, be a light in their day so that they remember you as that, and they're excited to do business with you. The things that make matchmaking go well for companies are very similar to the things that make things go well in lots of situations, right? You're calm and you're focused and you're on time. You only have a little bit of time. And if you're going to blow off some of that time and not be ready to go, they're going to remember that. They're going to remember that taste you left in their mouth. So show up prepared, tailor your approaches. Like we talked about, you want to know who you're talking to. You want to know what their problems are. You want to know what their pain points are. So don't pitch that you can solve every problem in the world. Talk specifically to what they need and tailor your messaging to their pain points. You can talk about specific opportunities and contracts that are coming up on their forecast or that you've heard about. You can absolutely do that. Usually the only thing that government is limited to talking to you about is things that are actively out there and open for competition. So if something is in the pre-RFP stage, it's an RFI or sources sought, chances are they can talk to you about it. And if they can't talk to you about it, they'll just tell you they can't talk to you about it. That's okay. You feel free to talk specifics. Feel free to talk about contract opportunities that you want to happen, things you've noticed on their forecast that seem like trends and ways that you can solve those problems. We've seen open-ended questions being really successful for clients talking to government because it lets them talk. And like I mentioned, we want to be able to listen to what their pain points are and then adapt your solution, adapt your conversation to solving those pain points for them. Well, key to that, and a key to this lasting impression that you're searching to find during matchmaking, is establishing the next steps that you will have with that customer before the bell rings. So your time management really does matter for matchmaking, and it's going to go really fast. And so making sure that you have said, hey, I'll follow up with your office to schedule another call, or hey, yes, I'll send you this example of our work, and then make notes of that and follow up with them within 48 hours. I guess the effort should never be on the person you're talking to. It should always be on your shoulders. So if you have something that's the next steps, take it on board and then do it. That way they remember you, they remember the conversation, and you followed up quickly. So what can you do beforehand? Now that we've seen your profiles in there, let's develop your matchmaking strategy. You should know exactly who you want to meet with and why before you ever book an appointment. And Mel has done a great job of putting these speaker profile or buyer profiles in there for you to look at and peruse and get to know and find on LinkedIn and check them out and see if you guys are a good personality, see if your offices and their products and their programs are a good fit for your company. You have tons of time before those appointments open up to really research who you want to put on your favorites tab and who you want to make appointments with. You need to ask yourself, what do you want to achieve? What does success look like before that bell rings? Do you have the appointments with the people that you want to talk to? And really understand the offices that you're trying to talk to, or the buyers, because if they're not actually buying what you're selling, then it could be a wasted effort on both sides. So trying to do the research that you need to understand, is this government buyer looking to fill a women-owned small business quota? If you're a large business, do you have to come with small business partners to the conversation? Not necessarily in person, but do you have to have a plan for that? Is there something that you can leave behind with your clients or with your buyers? You can bring your laptop, you can bring a tablet, you could bring a UAV. I don't know. You could bring whatever you want that you can carry, I guess. And you may not want to leave your laptop or your tablet or your UAV. So what are you going to leave? Our typical recommendation is that one pager. But what a lot of people don't realize is that one pager is totally tailorable. And so if you have 3 appointments, maybe you should have 3 different one pagers to give those clients to really hone in on what their needs are and what they're looking for in the solution that you can provide. It shouldn't have to be said, but if it's more than 3 years old, you shouldn't be bringing it. You want something up to date and fresh because you care about talking to them, you care about the problems they're facing now, and you care about their forecast in the next couple of months. And so you really want to make sure that you've done this in-depth research to approach that conversation the right way. So you've got your appointments booked. Maybe it didn't turn out the way you thought. Maybe you got only 2 of the people you wanted to talk to and you threw the thing at the wall and it's stuck on some other client and now you have no idea who they are. Well, let's look at their long range plans. Let's look at the forecast coming out of their offices. Let's look through their industry day briefs and see what language we see across their programs and what their pain points are that keep coming up repeatedly. Let's look at press releases. What are they proud of? What are they doing? What innovative ways are they working in industry? You can find people on LinkedIn. You can find them on MySpace. Maybe you can find them on Facebook, all of these social media things exist and exist in a professional way that you can find if they've been to conferences and done presentations, if they post often. You can get a really good idea of a person and what they're active with and what they care about through these social media channels, which is pretty interesting. They could be doing multiple things at this conference. They're not just there necessarily to be a buyer and to matchmake. And so if they have a panel, if they are just attending, if they're at the booth, I love that Mel mentioned you may be able to talk to these people at their booths. If you don't get an appointment with somebody, there may be another chance for you to touch base with them. You have to be somewhat careful about starting your 15-minute pitch for somebody standing in a booth because you want to maybe have it be more organic. But if you see them multiple times and you have a matchmaking appointment coming up, say hi. Go see them at their panel. Say, I really appreciated what you said at your panel, and pay attention to the other things they're doing at the event. Again, we're dealing with people, so we're having this personal connection with them, and that's how you create a lasting relationship with them so that you can do business. We obviously recommend you practice your pitch, whether you do it in your mirror while you're brushing your teeth, whether you do it with a friend. Practice before you get there. You need to know your company's elevator pitch inside and out, and you need to be able to modify it as you're listening to what your buyers are saying to you to best apply it to them. The only way to achieve this is practice, 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 practice until you're confident and comfortable talking about it. Tell it to your dog, tell it to your cat, tell it to the flight attendant as you're coming out to Gold Coast. Just practice. You won't look silly, or you may look silly as you're practicing it on the way, but you're not going to look silly in front of your buyer because you're going to feel confident in it. What do you do? Our company does this, this, and this. Don't list the 15 NICS codes you put on your profile to try to catch a fish. Talk about what you actually do. Talk about the things that you've done and the ways that you've done them successfully. How did you do it? Why are you different from the other people that are sitting across the table from them? Why are you so different that they should do business with you? Where have you done it before? What's your past performance experience? What's your quantifiable success story? Size, scope, complexity, and magnitude. That's what we want to show our buyers, that we can handle what they're going to throw at us. What are your success stories? What are the things you're proud about that your company has done and provided for the government or provided for their large business partners that have made a real difference in delivery? Having these things and these proof points in your head and practice lets you pull them out as you're listening to that buyer have that conversation with you so that you can have a more tailored, relevant conversation with them. And so you come across with your best foot forward. Again, there's kind of two options for who you're going to be talking to. Maybe there's more, because if we're talking about buyers, you may have a contracting officer, you may have a technical representative. With the large companies, you may have somebody who's more technically savvy or somebody who's only working the BD side of things. So you really want to know who you're talking to. You really want to take the time to read their profile, take the time to find them on LinkedIn so that you know what their job is and what they can understand about what you're going to communicate with them. You want to know how to help a large company succeed. You want to know what you offer that differentiates them from somebody else that can help them win more work. They probably already have their favorite teammates. Are you friends with those teammates? Do you have a connection that you can kind of work in there? If you're an 8A or a hub zone, you represent kind of a very niche specialty that maybe they need as part of their subcontracting plans. And are you motivated? Are you ready to participate and, move the team forward? That positive attitude makes a huge difference on a team. For government entities, you're looking at contracting officers who want their contracts to be successful. They want to deliver the products to their government clients, to the end user. They want low risk. And so if you're able to communicate that you have cost savings or that you have reduced risk or that you've done this a million times and this is no different, so of course you'll be successful, that's great. They hate switching costs. They hate any forms of risk. And so you advocating for your value makes it easier for them to say yes to you. So then at the event, what are we doing? We hit on this just a little bit, but be succinct. That's part of why we recommend practicing, because if you don't practice, you may ramble. So greet them. Talk about why you wanted to meet them, whether that's, you have a specialty that they buy, or you can help them solve a problem that they have. Why do you want to meet with them? Give them a chance to talk. That's actually our second point, to listen to them, to give them a chance to talk. But it's so important. I think we've mentioned it already like 4 times in this PowerPoint, but give them a chance to talk. What do they need help with? And then hear what they said and answer it. So what are they looking for? How can your company be a part of that problem? And how can you offer a solution? Again, establish next steps before the bell rings. Some kind of motherhood and apple pie for speaking succinctly and talking to your buyers is you should know their name. Maybe you don't have to pronounce it right, but you should know their name, or you should understand what their job is or what their role is in their office, so that you show your deliberate intent and your deliberate interest in what's going on with them. Land the plane for them, connect the dots for them, know your proof points, apply them to their pain points, and show them that you are the solution to their ailments. You want to make sure that you're engaged, you're an active listener, you're not texting while you're talking to them, you're not taking selfies or answering emails while you're talking to them. Even if you are the second person on your team and you're not talking to them, you're making an impression for your entire company. And so if you have 2 people sitting at that table, both are engaged and active. And then open up the door so that you can follow up, establish those next steps, create the opportunity for you to follow up. Dave, this conversation has been great. Can I set aside some of your time next week to talk through that SIBR and how our company can explore that? Or, hey, I don't quite understand that part. I'd love to spend some time talking to you about blah, 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 blah. Make the chance to keep that engagement going and keep that relationship building. Again, the horse is dead. Listen to them, give them a chance to talk, hear what they say. This entire matchmaking event has nothing to do with you as a company. A buyer will buy always, whether it's you or somebody else. So make this about them. Make this about understanding them, about what they want to say. Listen to what they have to say and hear it, and then make your conversation focus on them. Demonstrate what you know about them, how you can fit into their problems. Because you want to find both those unspoken and explicit needs that they have and search for common goals. Ask them questions, make sure that they feel heard, repeat what you're hearing back to them, all of the things you hear from being an active listener. And if they start going off on a rabbit trail that you didn't expect, let them, and be ready to go with them. Be ready with those proof points and those dialogue points that you've already practiced, so that you're ready to talk through their other problems. The thing that gets most of us is that we don't take notes at these events. These events are absolutely chaotic. They're crazy. You're going for 4 days straight. You're having meetings with tons of people. Stop. Take notes. After you're done talking to them, stop and take notes. Write down who you met. I love this note to annotate what they were wearing, because I think I came back from an event and that's exactly how I remembered who I talked to. I saw a picture that they shared on LinkedIn and I was like, oh, it was that guy in the blue sweater. Like that's a great way to jog your memory about who you talked to, covering what you talked with, what you talked about. What did they respond to? What did they agree with you about? Did you connect? Were your kids the same age? Did they go to another SEC school? Like what do you have on a personal level with that human being? What can you bring back up to remind them that you met them for real? What do you agree on? And then what's your follow-up action? All of these notes you can jot into your phone really fast after you meet with them, or you can, like, I don't know if you're allowed to record, so I'm not going to recommend that. But like maybe they're comfortable with you kind of recording some of your conversation live. That way you have the notes coming out from that. But make notes so that you can follow up and so that you don't get your matchmaking experiences lost in the middle of your grand adventure at Navy Gold Coast. Obviously, now we're after. So we've survived matchmaking. We've made a great first impression. We've got tons of new friends. But what now? Internally, we always recommend you do a debrief after any event. You'll want to do it with both your business development and your leadership team if you're not the person who is that, and quickly, because you want to pour that knowledge out. You want to talk about what was said. You want to talk about the themes and the trends you heard from your clients. And then you want to assign who's calling those people, who's sending out the emails, who's reconnecting with whom. And then you cheat yourself. You build those ticklers. You build the calendar reminders so that you can start keeping up with those clients that you've established relationships with. And of course, you want to keep that CRM updated and check back in with them. Touch base with those people, reconnect with them, make sure that you're tracking what they were struggling with and keep building that relationship. That follow-up campaign is the momentum that you established at matchmaking. Matchmaking is your momentum, and that follow-up afterwards is how you get government work. You're not going to sign a contract while you're sitting there at the table doing matchmaking. You may if you keep following up with them. 24 hours is best. I think that's outrageous. If you can send an email to them 24 hours after you talk to them at matchmaking, good on you. Take your time. 48 hours is acceptable. After that, though, they should come back to their office with emails from you. You don't want to be the one that trickles in 2 or 3 weeks later. So follow up genuinely. Don't send them a form email. Don't send them something that, you know, your interns wrote for you. Just genuinely connect with them. And that's why we make those notes about the things that you talked about and the personal connections you have with them, is because those are the ways that you're going to get past their spam filters when they're purging through your emails. Oh yeah, I remember talking to Kiley about how great the Georgia Bulldogs were, or about how terrible Army is at football. Like, I remember that conversation. I'm so glad she brought that up again. Yeah, let's talk about that sibber she's interested in. So genuinely spend some time on your follow-ups and your campaign afterwards. And then of course hopefully you have a client relationship management tool of some sort, but let it do the work for you. You know, let it remind you and send ticklers so that you keep those relationships up to date. Enter all those contacts into your CRM, tag them with the event so you know where they came from. That way, if they come back up, be like, oh, it was great to see you at Navy Gold Coast. Thanks for reaching out again. You know, all of those things that help it make it feel more personal. And finally, if you're going into these events and you're having a really hard time, or it feels really overwhelming, or you've had some really good conversations after Navy Gold Coast and you don't know what to do from there, Trident is there to help at any point, whether it's researching those government organizations, those people, those opportunities that are coming out, you know, finding your capability analysis, or whether we're tailoring those marketing materials so that you have them specific to the offices that you're talking to. Or if you just want practice pitching your company to us and practicing, we're happy to help you do that. We've got professional orals coaches that can help. We can also just help you run through kind of the things that may help you feel more confident as you're talking to those. So please feel free to reach out if you need any additional help going into matchmaking, or even just with proposals in general after the fact. That's all I have in terms of great our suggestions or recommendations. So I'll open it up for a couple of minutes for any questions or any comments in the chat, or anything, Melody, you thought of while I was chatting.
How did you know? So with the research, don't be surprised when you get there and there may be somebody else sitting in that seat than the person that has filled out, you know, that is listed as the buyer in EventDex, because a lot of times I have one person that is in charge of updating that profile and accepting appointments, or, you know, declining them if you're not a match. But they may be putting somebody else in that seat to meet with you than that person. Because I have, like Lockheed, they have a couple people that will swap around and still meet with you.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think last year or the year before, there's like a government shutdown near Navy Gold Coast. And so whether the buyers were coming or not was a huge question. And I think this is really why taking notes and paying attention to who you're talking to matters, because you're not going to be able to necessarily rely on the appointment log that you have to be your reference for who you're talking to. And so if it is somebody different, you want to know that so that you can reach back out to them and follow up with them based on that conversation.
Yeah. And this year we have a lot of new buyers. So
Ooh.
I'm really excited about that. I have someone from the Department of the Treasury, which I haven't had before. I know. That's
That's
pretty cool.
exciting.
I
Yeah.
know. DLA is coming. They're new. So there's several new ones in there. So it's definitely worthwhile to come again.
I love that.
And I
We may
think I'll
have
have
to.
close to the 100 this year. Last
Oh,
year, yeah, last year we only had like 80 buyers because of the government shutdowns and so forth going on, people not getting their approvals to travel.
yeah.
Yeah.
I see a hand up, but I am not able to unmute you, I don't think. So if you do have a question, go ahead and drop it in the chat or the Q&A if you can. Just the way the webinar is set up, I can't call on you. I'm sorry. You can make up your question. Yeah, are sellers visible? I can only see buyers when I log in. I think you showed that you can look at seller profiles. Is that right now?
You cannot, if you
You cannot.
are
Okay.
a small business, you're only going to see the buyers because that's all that you will be matching up with for meetings. If you want to see the small businesses, you can go to their exhibit booths or try and meet up with people at there's on the first day, the Tuesday at 5 o'clock, they have a kind of like a happy hour. So
Oh, nice. So good
yeah,
networking for both your
yeah,
small business partners and
yes.
okay. So Terry, you can throw your question in the chat. We can answer that. I won't be able to call on you, but yeah, you meet a lot of, and I think it's cool to go through all the booths too to see all their exhibits and stuff because you get to see some of their technologies in person. And so somebody you may not have thought would be a good partner with you may end up being a good partner because their booth shows something that you maybe didn't think of. So it's definitely worth doing both, not just sitting through matchmaking appointments, but also, walking the floor, making connections with those small businesses, taking their capability sheets and looking at them after the fact and seeing if they're a good fit for you.
Yes.
Okay, give it a couple more minutes to ask questions. I'm also just going to advance the slide just because this has some contact information. So if you do have a question after this, you can get in touch with me and I can get in touch with Mel later, or you can find her contact information on the Navy Gold Coast website. Feel free to reach out to us, ask questions after the fact or leading up to Navy Gold Coast so that you feel confident. And I'm excited to see you there. We'll find Mel. She'll be crazy. Maybe bring her coffee. Mel, what's your coffee order?
I do not drink coffee.
Oh, very well. Maybe just a
Yeah,
snack.
I am not a coffee or tea person. So just come by, say hey. I like it. Usually I got my volunteers there. So we've got a lot of volunteers that are helping out too. So if you have questions, they'll help out as much as possible.
We've got
So,
one more question so far in the chat. Do the government customers actually go to those socials?
some do, but
Cool.
definitely if you want to, you'll see like bankers roaming, you'll see accountants will be roaming. There's all kinds of small business.
Yeah. The question is, do small businesses bring hard copy slides to matchmaking events? I've seen small businesses bring hard copy slides to conferences, not just matchmaking events. So
Yes.
I feel like that's pretty common. Again, remember brevity can sometimes be more impactful than a novel. And so if you can tailor it down from maybe a whole capability briefing to kind of a one pager, that may be just more efficient for your buyers to look at. Maybe sometimes giving them space to take notes on can be helpful. But yeah, you can absolutely bring things to leave behind for them. for
We
sure.
we find too that showing if you have a product that's amazing, like one year we had someone that had a cleaner that was really amazing, and they brought that with, brought that and showed them how well it worked. And they got a lot of business out of that.
Yeah, I saw a yes, I really appreciate the next comment that your slick sheet, whatever you leave behind should have your contact information on it. That is vital. I did see a guy bring a drone into one of his meetings, and he actually like downloaded information on it and like demonstrated it live. So you can get pretty creative in terms of what you can bring there. Um, yeah, the question is, would having a commercial TDP at the ready on a laptop or a QR code on the capability sheet be helpful? I've seen QR codes on capability sheets.
Mhm.
I think they're helpful sometimes, especially if it goes back to your company website or the contact information. Um, I'm not sure that I would recommend it as like extra homework for your buyer to look at and find information about you. They should be able to take away what you can do and what you can offer them based on what you left with them and not have to do kind of an extra step. But if it connects them back to you or connects them to some really cool things, then yeah, absolutely go for it. Nothing else seen. I will say thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Mel, for your expertise and for showing us EventDex and everything. We're excited to see you guys at Navy Gold Coast.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, have a great afternoon, everybody.
Take care, everyone.